AT.
Yes! 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 Oh my god!
Video games are one of the few mediums of art that can create a sense of accomplishment when consuming the art. Whether it be saving the princess in Mario or getting a skill to 99 in Runescape, video games can create a worthwhile and meaningful goal for its players, letting people truly feel like they've actually achieved something. But as much as people love a good ending, video games are largely about the journey and not the destination. This is where the concept of progression comes in. As people play games more and more, they typically get better at it. In an online competitive game, it's unlikely that you're going to be any good at it until you have some experience under your belt, and only then can you slowly grind your way from bronze to platinum. Or if there's no ranking system, it could be increasing your kill to death ratio, or simply just getting a high score. In games designed to be different per playthrough, like Rogue, where everything is procedurally generated, your knowledge of the game's mechanics improve your chances at succeeding upon each playthrough. Quite often, these games have minor milestones to indicate progression, like battling different enemies or having the color of Tetris tiles change to something you haven't seen before. But progression doesn't have to be based around a skill set. Reaching a checkpoint in a Mario level is hitting a progression milestone, the same as reaching a bonfire in Dark Souls. People typically enjoy clean slates in shorter, more competitive or arcadey style games, but will want checkpoints on anything that may require more than an hour play session. An example that clearly showcases this is saving your game in Donkey Kong Country 2 after defeating a bunch of difficult levels. Once you reach a new zone, you have to reach the save point in order to save, and if you get a game over, all the progression you made is gone. There are a lot of people who rage quit after realizing that they're going to have to re-clear 3 to 4 of the same levels they just defeated in order to get back to where they were before. All for the chance of being able to reach the checkpoint where they can save their game.
Oh. We're done! This series is done! It's done! It's done! It's done! It's done! It's done! Game over! Game over, man! Game over, man! Game over, man! Sigourney fucking Weaver!
I personally hated this mechanic and farmed 99 lives in the first level of the game in order to never experience this myself. In larger games, the progression systems are used as significantly more than just a checkpoint, but also as key parts of the gameplay. In large RPGs, being able to level up and equip better gear is a satisfying part of playing the game. Not only do you get a sense of accomplishment by reaching a milestone, but it also serves as a way to help the player unlock new content or make existing content easier. In the Legend of Zelda games, you can basically complete every single game without taking a hit. But there are ways to increase your damage, ways to increase your health, and overall it gives the player more of an incentive to explore the world, especially if they are stuck on the primary story of the game. So not only does it serve to promote side content, but it also subversively makes the game easier without having to add a difficulty option, allowing as many people to get the intended experience. Roguelites are built off the concept of slowly making the game easier while the player gets better at mechanics. In Rogue, the only real progression you had was increasing your knowledge and skill for the next playthrough. In roguelites, you keep a little bit of progression to assist in future playthroughs. In Crypt of the NecroDancer, you get diamonds during your previous run that can be used to buy better equipment for your next run. In Rogue Legacy, you can buy upgrades and passives that permanently improve your characters for future playthroughs. I am making a game called Heal to Death, which is a roguelite where you play as a healer for a party of adventurers. I am still thinking about how I want to implement my progression mechanics for my game. The game is a lot more RPG and a bit less actiony in nature, so how I decide to implement the progression systems is going to require thought into what plays into the game's strengths rather than forcing it to be something that it is not. Regardless of how I choose to proceed with my own game's progression systems, it is nice having milestones to look forward to in video games. But if players feel like these milestones are a requirement in order to progress, it can quickly go from a nice perk into feeling like a grind. Whether something is a grind or not is mostly up to whether the player is having fun, but as a game designer, it is your responsibility to make that experience fun. You need to be open to a lot of player feedback to get a general sense of what the majority of your intended audience is enjoying or not enjoying. I think it is important to acknowledge as well that the most efficient way of achieving a goal should typically be the most fun, and that fun may be different depending on how diverse your players are. Some players absolutely despise doing any content more than once. Other players don't mind redoing content if it means that they are making progress towards the desired goal. I think that most players' feedback is correct for themselves, but the question isn't whether they are correct for themselves. It's about asking the question, are they correct for the majority of the player base? And this is where progression systems can result in degenerate behavior. In The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, there are Deku Seeds scattered around Hyrule to be discovered. They are these little puzzles where, if they are solved, you get a Deku Seed which can be used to increase the space of your inventory. The reward structure is exponential, where slot 4 may cost 10 seeds and slot 5 may cost 25. And so the game is trying to tell you that these are just little bonus awards for exploring the world, so if you come across one that's cool, but you shouldn't go out of your way to seek them all. The problem comes with completionists and min-maxers. There are 900 of these puzzles scattered around the game, and some people felt compelled to collect them all. In terms of rewards, you only need like 450 of them to unlock all the equipment slots, but that doesn't stop people from feeling compelled to 100% this completely optional game mechanic. These are the types of players that really stress out your progression systems.
What?
And as a designer, you have to ask whether or not it's worth catering to these people. I don't think there is a universal yes or no, but some caution is required in order to protect players from themselves. When designing endgame progression systems, you may want to think about these players to avoid designing a system that ends up being completely monotonous when taken too far. There is no journey without a destination, but it is still about the journey. It's the reason why we call these progression systems rather than destination systems. Just because people do something in a game doesn't mean that you've succeeded as a game designer. In competitive multiplayer games, many players will basically do anything in order to gain a competitive advantage. This goes from spending 100k in various pay-to-win competitive games to taking meth in order to play for 100 hours a week for 3 months straight to get the best gear in classic World of Warcraft's original PvP ranking system.
No.
Well, I thought you didn't have any more heroin.
I don't have any more heroin.
What are you injecting?
The Rank 14 grind is the worst progression system in video game history, and it would require an entire video to discuss all the ramifications it had for the rest of the game. But I'd like to end this video with a game that I think uses progression systems really cleverly, and that is Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, the incredibly good sequel to the disappointing Kickstarter game. Basically, it's a Donkey Kong Country inspired game with the twist being that the final level of the game is available at the start. And that level is called the Impossible Lair. And this is impossible for anyone outside of the most dedicated speedrunners. It's long, it has many difficult parts, and it has multiple boss fights. But here's the catch. You can complete other levels in the game to take additional hits in the Impossible Lair, up to 48 additional hits. So you go through the game completing various levels, saving the bees in the Beetallion, which will take a hit for you in order to make the Impossible Lair possible. Once you get enough additional hits, you take another crack at the Impossible Lair. And this is where you will experience the next great progression system. When you reach a boss room, it will record the same amount of additional hits you have left. You'll notice in the next attempt that you can start in that boss room with all the remaining additional hits you had when you first entered. And so this not only creates a checkpoint, but it gives the player an opportunity to master the start of the Impossible Lair to maintain as many additional hits for the rest of the Impossible Lair. So if I want to progress from Phase 2, maybe I should aim to reach Phase 2 with at least 30 additional hits so I have more room for error when progressing to Phase 3. It feels like they took inspiration from a speedrunner's sum of best parts and turned it into a progression mechanic. I love what the system has been able to do. You have what is ultimately an absolute slog of a level broken up into nice bite-sized pieces via the game's progression system. The checkpoints you reach are more than just checkpoints, and every part of the level rewards mastery without actually demanding it. It's the first time I've experienced a sum of best parts progression system, and I hope more games take inspiration from it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. I'll be posting more about Heal to Death in 2024, so subscribe if you're interested in what I'm making. And check out my completely free game on Steam, Platform Gun, a puzzle platformer where you shoot platforms out of a gun. link in the description.